Welcome to the Dangerous Grounds Network, the #1 online radio network in the world. 100% American Badass. Sponsored by Madison Rising. Kings Hollow. Redcon One Music Group. The Veteran Exchange. Combat Flip-Flops. Branded Warriors, Inc. Let's get dangerous.
Coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the Dangerous Grounds Network presents the #1 morning show in America. It's the 3% morning show with your host, Sergeant Big Country. Now put on that PT belt, wash your cocks and change your socks, and get ready to stroke this freedom boner. Let's get dangerous.
On whiskey, and now here we come, and we're riding dirty. This must be fate. 3 words are for your fate. Just operate.
Wake up in the morning and I'm feeling kinda fresh. 5 pounds of bacon on my motherfucking chest. Carbon stained pillows, hands smell like lead. Under my mattress, gun safe as my bed. Loaded up mags, just ready to blast. ISIS flag when I wipe my ass. Blowout kit with my speedball bag. Dressed up in my tactical swag. Looked in my pocket and found 0 fucks until I pulled out my custom Glocks. Even wore multicams to my first date.
Wait, what?
Bitch, I operate.
We might be crazy, we might be drunk. We're sipping on whiskey, and now here we come, and we're riding dirty. This must be fate. 3 words are for your fate. Bitch, I operate. Don't close your eyes, you'll miss the show. Been a lifetime, now the moment's past. Been waiting here so I can kick some ass. Now face the crowd, no backing down. Been down and out, here's what it's all about. Let's get things started. Time to be a man. Nowhere to run now. You just had your chance.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the 3%er Morning Show. What's going on, Ron C? Always the first one to jump in. What's going on? Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's almost the weekend. For some of you, it's party time. For some of us, it's chill, relax, watch some movies, and take a break from this week. Holy shit. Busy. Relax this weekend. The next weekend, we're going to get down on St. Patty's Day. So we're looking around for some cool shit. I think we're going to go hang out at, I think we're going to Belmont and hang out down there. If y'all in Savannah, Georgia, close by Savannah, Georgia, man, don't miss St. Patrick's Day out there. They literally dump gallons and barrels of fucking green food color to color Savannah River green during the holiday. Which is pretty badass. I haven't been out there to see it yet. It's supposedly supposed to be the biggest St. Patrick's Day party, in the country. So, yeah. We shall see, And, so we got a couple things to talk about that I have found very interesting. Apparently, there is something wrong with men in our country. Which, after listening to the statistics and stuff, is, I have to say, is kind of worrisome. But then again, I mean, what Tucker Carlson is saying is pretty damn true. I got some couple other little things to chat about. Apparently, North Korea is in talks with South Korea about giving up their full nuclear arsenal and some of their ballistic missiles and stuff, which is always good. To at least hear anyway, stay on the positive side of things and check it out. See why the Democrats are trying to take over Texas and turn it into a blue state. I don't ever see that happening, but there are some pretty good conversations out there about it. A little bit of IG62 news. We try to keep you updated up on that. Because there's, we're in the process of plastering out there, so. In Sammy's Bar, where we'll be at next Saturday night, might be doing a little broadcasting or something like that from. It's this old man's birthday, but whatever. You kind of stop counting after 25. When your car insurance goes down, that's the last time that your birthday really matters in the age, unless you just, are happy that you turned 40, which I'm 2 years away from, so, whatever. That gray hair, military helped that gray hair come out a little bit sooner than what it was supposed to have. Just saying. So we got some cool fun times coming up ahead. If y'all out there listening to the show, man, jump into the chat group, come in and say good morning so we can tell you hello and good morning. So we'll start off with this, what the hell is happening to men, from Tucker Carlson. Check this out.
Now to the first part of a series you'll see here every Wednesday in the month of March, focusing on men in America. The signs are everywhere. If you're a middle-aged man, you probably know a peer who has killed himself in recent years, at least one. If you're a parent, you may have noticed that your daughter's friends seem a little more on the ball than your son's. They get better grades, they smoke much less marijuana, they spend less time playing video games, they go to more prestigious colleges. If you're an employer, you may have noticed that your female employees show up on time. The young men often don't. And of course, if you live in this country, you've just seen a horrifying series of mass shootings, far more than we've ever had. Women didn't do that. In every case, the shooter was a man. Something ominous is happening to men in America. Everyone who pays attention knows that. What's odd is how rarely you hear it publicly acknowledged. Our leaders pledge to create more opportunities for women and girls, whom they imply are failing. Men don't need help. They're the patriarchy. They're fine, more than fine. But are they fine? Here are the numbers. Start with the most basic, life and death. The average American man will die 5 years before the average American woman. One of the reasons for this is addiction. Men are more than twice as likely as women to become alcoholics. They're also twice as likely to die of a drug OD. In New Hampshire, one of the states hardest hit by the opioid crisis, 73% of overdose deaths were men. But the saddest reason for shortened lifespans is suicide. 77% of all suicides in America are committed by men. The overall rate is increasing at a dramatic pace. Between 1997 and 2014, there was a 43% rise in suicide deaths among middle-aged American men. The rates are highest among American Indian and white men who kill themselves at about 10 times the rate of Hispanic and black women. You often hear America's incarceration crisis. Well, that's almost exclusively a male problem, too. Over 90% of inmates are men. Now, these problems are complex, but we know that they start young. And relative to girls, boys are failing in school. More girls than boys graduate high school. Considerably more go to and graduate from college. In schools at every level, boys account for the overwhelming majority of discipline cases. One study found that fully 1 in 5 high school boys had been diagnosed with some form of hyperactivity disorder. That's compared with just 1 in 11 girls. Many of them were medicated for it. The long-term health effects of those medications, not fully understood, but they do appear to include depression in later life. Women now decisively outnumber men in graduate school. They earn the majority of doctoral degrees. They're now the majority of new enrollees in both law and medical schools. For men, the consequences of failing in school are long-term and profound. Between 1979 and 2010, working-age men with only high school degrees saw their real hourly wages drop about 20%. Over the same period, high school-educated women saw their wages rise. The decline of the industrial economy disproportionately hurt men. There are now 7 million working-age men in America who don't work. They've dropped out of the labor force. Nearly half of them take pain medication on any given day. That is the highest rate in the world by far.
Wow.
Far fewer young men get married than did just a few decades ago, and fewer stay married. About 1 in 5 American children live now only with their mothers. That's double the rate of 1970. Millions more boys growing up without fathers. Young adult men are now more likely to live with a parent than they are to live with a spouse or a partner. That is not the case for young women. Single women buy their own homes at more than twice the rate of single men. More women than men now have driver's licenses. Whenever gender differences come up in public debate, the so-called wage gap seems to dominate the conversation. You've heard it. A woman makes 77 cents for every dollar a man earns. That's a statistic that you'll hear a lot. Presidents have repeated it, many candidates. It's everywhere. And yet that number compares all American men to all American women across all professions. No legitimate social scientist would consider that a valid or meaningful measure. The number doesn't mean anything. It's intentionally misleading. It's a talking point. Once you compare men and women with similar experience, working the same hours and similar jobs for the same period of time, that's the only way you can measure it, the gap all but disappears. In fact, it may invert. One study using census data found that single women in their 20s living in metropolitan areas now earn 8% more on average than their male counterparts. By the way, the majority of managers in the workplace are now women. Women on average are scoring higher on IQ tests than men are. Even physically, men are falling behind. A recent study found that almost half of young men failed the Army's entry-level physical fitness exam during basic training. Fully 70% of American men are now overweight or obese. That's compared to 59% of American women.
Well, that explains a lot of issues if you sit down and think about it. And I have to agree with you. I mean, women. Okay, think about this on a parenting point of view first. Even though it's not all correct, but I guess it just depends